Good morning, everyone, and welcome to State Government Committee. At this time, we're going to ask the clerk if they would to please take the roll.
Representatives Alexander, Beck, Bricken, Butler, Carringer, Chisholm, Dixie, Haston, Holsqua, Hurt, Jernigan, Johnson, Leatherwood, Littleton, McCollman, Miller, Powell, Powers, Rudder, Terry, Vice Chairman Eldridge,
Here.
Chairman Kiesling, Vice Chairman Yevacorn.
Thank you. Again, we'd like to welcome everyone out today and appreciate you being here. We asked at this time if any of the members have any personal orders. I don't see any, but I do have one today. I have a young man here that's job shadowing me from back home, Luke Geller. Luke, if you would, just stand up for me, please. Luke is in the 5th grade at Cornerstone Academy there in Morristown, and please don't hold this against him, but he happens to be my cousin. So just take it easy on him, okay? But we're glad Luke's here with us today. If there's nothing else, we'll get started on the calendar. And first up, we have House Bill 1382 by Chairman Reagan. We have a motion and a second. And Chairman, this one does not have an amendment, does it?
You are correct, sir.
All right, sir, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is a straightforward bill. What it does simply is add public dispatchers to the section of TCA where death benefits for emergency personnel are described. The impact is to give public safety dispatchers the same consideration as other emergency service personnel if they die in the line of duty. Now, some might wonder if that's a situation. Obviously, when you have firefighters and police out picking up body parts and seeing gruesome scenes, PTSD is to be expected. But I can tell you from personal experience, having served in similar situations in the military, that sometimes the stress of sending others into the situations where life is threatened or limb may be lost, the stress is there. So PTSD is a possibility even in that situation. Admittedly, much more rare, but should it occur, in my personal opinion, we owe these people the same kinds of death benefits that their compatriots in the field have. With that explanation, I stand ready to answer questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, questions been called on the bill. We're voting on House Bill 1382. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You move out to Finance, Ways and Means, sir. Number 2 on the calendar is House Bill 1387 by Chairman Reagan. We have a motion and a second.
We do have an amendment on this, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. And that drafting code is
3712. 3712.
All right, sir. And it rewrites the bill. Without objection, we'll add that to the bill. All in favor of adding the amendment, please say aye. Any opposed? The amendment goes on the bill. Sir, you're recognized for explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Essentially what this bill does is add 2 things. First, a foundation connected to a Chamber of Commerce would be authorized to conduct a charitable gaming event under the same rules as everybody else, except because this is the first year for this bill also extends the window for application to the Secretary of State's office to June 30th of 2024. That is to say, within 5 calendar days after this becomes law, it will then go into effect. So it opens the window for some late applications. Other than that, all we're doing is adding a foundation associated with the Chamber of Commerce. And again, by way of explanation, as most of you are probably members of Chambers of Commerce in your district, if not, you're aware of them. They frequently hold community events which are paid for by the membership of that body. They have occasionally had problems getting enough community attendance. What this foundation charitable event will enable them to do is use the charitable event to draw the rest of the community in. For example, the foundation can hold a charitable event for a children's home or anything else, and the Chamber of Commerce can advertise, come out and to our event for this particular town or city. And while you're there, you might want to play a game of bingo or something to help support this particular charity. That explanation, gentlemen, and ladies, I stand ready to answer questions.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. Questions, Representative Beck?
Thank you, and thank you, Chairman Reagan. My question would be, so it becomes effective July 1st, and then you've got 5 calendar days. Wait, give me the dates. When can my Chamber of Commerce apply and hold a raffle?
Well, I don't think there's any limitation on when they can apply. They could apply right now. To be considered, though, the event application would have to be the secretary within 5 calendar days after this act becomes law. So that it's not later than, there is no not earlier than. I would assume, though, like most organizations, they would want to be within that window, very close to it. And the events would be from July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Did that answer your question, sir?
That did. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we're going to vote on House Bill 1387 as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Chairman, you move on out to Finance, Ways and Means.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee.
Next up's item number 3, House Bill 562 by Chairman Todd. We have a motion? We have a motion and a second, and I see you have an amendment traveling with this bill. No, it's not. I'm sorry. Okay, you have an amendment on your bill. I'm sorry.
The
We-
4146.
Okay, and it rewrites the bill. Is there any objection to adding the amendment to the bill? Motion and second on the amendment. We're voting to add Amendment 4146 to House Bill 562. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The amendment is on the bill, and Chairman, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. Members, I found out last Christmas at a dinner at my local National Guard that, just inadvertent conversation, that members of the Guard, when they are deployed on state service, many of them go a month or so without pay based on just the timing of how the state pay system works. They have to begin work, then their pay after a couple of weeks goes in for processing, then it may be a couple of weeks or even more before the pay hits their account. And so many of them are very much strained being away from their regular jobs to perform this service. And so I wanted to find a way to see if we could help them. They're sacrificing a lot to leave their communities, leave their families and their jobs to go elsewhere to help with flood relief and disaster relief and other things. So what this amendment does, what the bill does as amended, when members of the National Guard get activated by the governor, this bill requires their compensation to begin immediately. Under the bill, the Department of Human Resources is authorized to utilize the state's weekly pay scale and their pay cycle. This only applies to active duty personnel that have been activated by the governor. So this will just get them paid just a little bit quicker. It's within guidelines that we already have set up, but we have to unfortunately pass a bill to ask Human Resources to do it this way. So I've worked with them, and they've actually helped write this and craft this to fit within their guidelines and the system they already have set in place. So I would appreciate your support.
All right, you've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Okay, Chairman Dixie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question to the sponsor. This is basically just a timing issue. It's money that's owed to them, but it'll just get it to them quicker.
You're recognized.
That is correct. It's just a matter of the timing of how the pay scale, pay system goes in. Once they are activated, it speeds up that process a little bit with this weekly pay cycle that they have.
All right.
Yeah, I was just curious because I saw it had no physical, it's not significant fiscal impact. So I was just my thoughts. But thank you.
Correct.
Chairman?
It does not change their pay or have a cost associated with it. It's a system that HR already has. They just have to be directed by a bill like this of how to activate that, how to use it.
Right. Any other questions been called on the bill? All in favor of House Bill 562 as amended, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You move out to calendar and rules. Next up is item number 4, House Bill 611 by Chairman Hawk. We have a motion and a second. And you don't have any amendments, do you? Or do
No,
you
sir,
on
I do
this one?
not.
All right, sir. Chairman Hawk, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Chairman of the Committee. Tennessee State Employees Uniform Nepotism Policy Act of 1980 prohibits direct supervision by one relative of another within a state governmental entity or agency. This act provides for the necessary transfer or resignation to remedy a violation of the statute. What this bill does is clarify that employees of state governmental entities who are compensated through funding sources other than this state are subject to the Tennessee State Employees Uniform Nepotism Policy Act also. There's a creation of a criminal act should someone violate this, and it authorizes the Attorney General and reporter to investigate violations of this act. In a nutshell, Chairman and Committee, that's what it does.
All right. Any questions? Okay. Representative Powell.
Thank you. Chairman, could you provide an example? So like if you an organization received state grant funding, this would apply to them? I guess if you could just give me an example, I'd appreciate that.
I'll use a very specific example that happened in a district attorney's office in Hamilton County, where they were receiving both state and local funds. So I do not envision this being in a non-for-profit organization like you're talking about. Or are you talking about like the district the attorney's office accepts grant funds? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so I just want to clarify, this is just government entities, like say, there might be different organizations out there, they get funding from the state, and then oftentimes they have to accept different, policies and procedures that conform with state law, and I get that, but what you're focused here on is more so government entities like you described, not necessarily those nonprofit entities. Is that correct?
Chairman.
Yes, that is correct. These are governmental entities. And every governmental entity should have an anti-nepotism policy on record to start with. This is just saying they follow their own anti-nepotism policies about supervision of family members.
All right.
Thank you for the clarification, Chairman.
Thank you.
All right. Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, our chairman has his cousin here today, and paying him would that fall under the nepotism rule that in this act?
Is he 16 yet? I don't know if the young man is, I don't know.
I'm not sure about that.
What's he of the age just yet? So it might be child labor laws that we
Oh,
can
well,
actually.
that's true. That would apply, wouldn't it? Okay.
That may be a whole different ball of wax right there, Chairman.
Thank you for that.
Thank you all for that. Is there any other questions? Seeing none, we're gonna vote on House Bill 611. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? It moves on out, and I think
Thank you.
Keller and Rule, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and members.
Thank you. Item number 5, House Bill 1492. We're going to roll that one 3 spaces. Okay. And brings us to item number 6, House Bill 1437 by Representative Mitchell. We have a motion and a second. Representative Mitchell, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, mine's a simple little bill. It just wants to make the 11th state song Copperhead Road. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Is there any questions for the sponsor? Can you sing a couple of bars?
Can you
of it?
hum a few bars?
You would not want that. Yeah, that exactly.
Representative Calvin, you're recognized.
Mr. Sponsor, is this a acoustic version or the live version?
We're hoping it'll be the live version.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Seeing no one else, questions on the bill, House Bill 1437, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Bill moves out to calendar and rules.
Thank you.
Next up is next up is House Bill 540 by Representative Harris. We have a motion and a second. Representative Harris, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, and to the committee. I know a few of you have already spoke with me about this bill and have probably heard it a few times. Well, I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to repeat everything all over again for you. House Bill 540 is in regards to the state's only secure care DCS Youth Detention Development Center, the John S. Wilder Youth Detention Center in Fayette County, just outside of Memphis. Last summer, after the reports of multiple issues at the facility, members of the legislature and Children and Families Subcommittee traveled to do a drop-in tour with the DCS commissioner at the time. The facility is hardwired, secured, and serves young people ages 13 to 18 years of age who have been committed to state custody for various offenses by the juvenile courts. At the time, 26 of the 45 young people were from my house district. During our tour, we met a young man who was accomplishing two things that day: completion of his time in custody and state custody and graduation with his high school diploma. He was thrilled, definitely had a great relationship with not only the commissioners, deputy commissioner, and the facility staff, but his peers as well. I walked up to have a conversation with him, and he was really excited to show me his diploma while standing in his capping gown. On the diploma, it stated his name, the date, and the name of the school, John S. Wilder Youth Detention Center. In almost every case, if a young person attends the center, does well, completes their time in state custody, their juvenile record is removed the second that they get out, and they get a second chance. But when a youth who has graduated from the facility gets out of state custody and goes to apply for a job and has to complete the employment section of that job application, they have to list on there John S. Wilder Youth Detention Center. For years, this has caused a hardship for a lot of young people to truly get a second chance. There was one young man who was going to be here to testify, who is now an anesthesiologist, who graduated from the John S. Wilder and ended up going to be a doctor because he couldn't just get a regular job because of the way his diploma was written. All of you had the opportunity to serve with the late great Representative Barbara Ward Cooper, who was a teacher for decades before retiring from the education system and before serving 11 terms in the legislature. She had a true passion for our youth, and we recognize that work and her legacy as a strong advocate for education. I know some of you joined over 20 others in signing, 30 others in signing onto this legislation, and I really would hope that you all would pass this forward today. Thank you.
Okay, you've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Chairman Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did have one that you mentioned, and I was just looking at the bill here, and on here it lists John Wilder Youth Development Center, but you said that the actual diploma said detention center. Is the actual name of it Development Center or Detention Center?
It's Development Center, but a lot of people know it as Detention Center, and so on the diploma, it did have that.
And that's what it has on the diploma? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the sponsor? If not, questions been called. We're voting on House Bill 540 all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Your bill moves on out to calendar and rules.
Thank
sir.
you, committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Next up, we have item number 8, House Bill 448 by Representative Davis. We have a motion. Second. Representative Davis, do you have an amendment with your bill? 4149. Please turn your mic on, I think. Okay. We have
4149. Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment tell us, it doesn't rewrite the bill, does?
No, sir, it does not. Essentially, what the bill does is it allows for public comment in governmental bodies. And we had, the amendment goes to, if there's a disciplinary hearing, we had the Department of Health request that they kind of had an exception because they did not want to have public comment during some of those licensure hearings.
Okay.
And so we wanted to ensure that we were accommodating them. But essentially, this bill allows for, we have public comment in practice, but we just don't have it codified in law. And so what we're wanting to do is just ensure those First Amendment protections for our citizens, that they have the ability to come and redress their government. But with those governmental bodies, they have the ability to make any of those kind of reasonable restrictions with regard to the length of period, the length of time that someone can speak, the number of speakers, to ensure that the topic that they speak to is germane to the agenda. And so with that, I'm here for any
All right.
questions, and I would
Okay,
appreciate your support.
With that objection, we'll go ahead and put the amendment on the bill. We had a motion and a second. All in favor of adding the amendment, Code 4149 to House Bill 448, please say aye. Any opposed? The amendment is on the bill. Now you're recognized on the bill. Do you have any further comment?
I just stand for questions.
All right. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 448 as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. You move out to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. We're going to move back to item number 5 on the calendar. We have a motion and a second, and this is on House Bill 1492, and Chairman Clemens, you're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for not making it in on time. What I'm going to do with this bill was passed out of the subcommittee. The amendment to this legislation makes the bill, it was originally a caption bill. Purpose of the amendment that makes the bill is to prohibit the weaponizing of drones by law enforcement in the state of Tennessee. I have a concern that came to my mind, and I spoke with the TBI about it. I want to make sure that law enforcement can still remotely detonate bombs or something like that. And so there's a question in my mind as to whether or not my bill would allow them to do that. So I'm going to ask if we can roll this 1 week, if you don't mind,
All right.
so that I can get to the bottom of that legal question and amend it if necessary, if that's all right with the chairman.
All right. Without objection, we're going to roll 1 week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Item number 9. All right, we're going to move back to item number 9. This is HJR 95 by Chair Lady Littleton. Chair Lady, you're recognized. We have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This encourages the members of the General Assembly to join the Taiwan Caucus and to welcome the establishment of a Tennessee Trade Office in Taiwan, urges the signing of an Education Cooperation Memorandum of Understanding with Taiwan aimed at promoting Mandarin English language, teacher and student exchanges, and supports the U.S.-Taiwan initiative on the 21st century trade and the negotiations on a bilateral trade agreement.
All right, you've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on HJR 95. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it, and you move on out to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Next up is item number 10, House Bill 174 by Representative Alexander. We have a motion? We have a motion and a second, and Representative Alexander, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee. This bill is brought to me by the Treasury Department. It is concerning, it clarifies that a member of the ORP, which is the Optional Retirement Program, who returns to service on other than a full-time basis in a position covered by the ORP or the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System, the TCRS, may continue or begin taking ORP distributions while reemployed. The reemployment member shall be subject to the following work and compensation limits. The member must not work more than 120 days or its equivalent during a 12-month period. And secondly, the members' compensation shall not exceed 60% of their annual full-time salary received in a year immediately prior to the member's last paid day of covered employment. And with that, I'll renew my motion.
We have heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're voting on House Bill 174. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. You're moving out to calendar and rules. Next on the agenda is number 11, House Bill 166 by Representative Butler.
Thank you, Chairman.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, sir.
Thank you,
You're
Chairman and committee.
recognized.
This bill is applicable to state employees only, and I want to make sure that's clear. But if a state employee is serving in the National Guard or serving any of our armed forces while they're a current state employee, unfortunately, we do not pay their sick time and leave while they're serving. And so there's some ambiguity in the statute for the Department of Human Resources in addressing that. And so this bill will simply fill in that gap and require the state of Tennessee to pay sick time and leave while our National Guardsmen or other military personnel are serving our country, many times abroad. So with that, I renew my motion.
All right, you've heard the explanation. Is there any questions for the sponsor? Representative Beck.
Mr. Chairman, I thought we had a prohibition against freshmen presenting from their seats.
This is not my first bill.
Yeah, there was a caveat there. It was not the first bill. There we go. Yeah. All right.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Is there any further discussion? Question's been called. We're voting on House Bill 166. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and you move out to Finance, Ways, and Means.
Thank you, committee.
Next up's item number 12. House Bill 311, also by Representative Butler. We have a motion, second, and you're recognized on your bill, sir.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. This bill simply just adds the word veteran-owned to current statutes that also include women-owned and other designations to encourage the state to strive, I'm going to use the word strive on purpose, to strive to award at least 5% of state contracts to veteran-owned businesses. So it's not a requirement, it's just a goal. So with that, I renew my motion.
Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, questions been called. We're voting on House Bill 311. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Sir, your bill moves out to Finance, Ways, and Means.
Thank you, committee.
And committee, that brings us to the end of our calendar. Is there any, Chairman Powers?
Yeah, I do have one question. The gentleman sitting down front there on the first row, is he allowed to be on this committee?
Hey, not only is he allowed, but I think he should have been here sooner. So if there's no other business before this, oh, do you have day in history, Chairman?
Do we have a day in history?
Okay.
If you have just a moment, we will begin in the year 1872, Mr. Chairman. Yellowstone Park becomes our nation's first national park. 1941, Captain America, was created by cartoonists Joe Simmons and Jack Kirby. It was first published by Timely Comics in December of 1940. And did you know, Representative Beck, that this applies to your district? 1941, Nashville, Tennessee becomes the home of the first FM radio station in the nation. Sure does. And we'll wrap it up with the top 100. Number one, coming in at number one. Everybody knows this one. What a beautiful year it was. 1975. On this day, it was Eagles' Best of My Love.
No.
And with that, Mr. Chairman and members, that is your
Thank-
Today in History.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and we are adjourned.